I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic.
Great Mother speaks to us as the Holy Spirit that inspired our incarnation, the still small voice of intuition that guides it, and what we know in and through each new and full moon phase of our lives. And of course, the lunar cycle is marked by the dance between Great Mother, Father God. It's light and shadows, that perpetual dance that's going on. And right now we have the nodal axes, okay, and that's all lunar oriented as well. There's a point upon the elliptical where the moon and the sun meet, and that's called the nodes. And that changes every 18 months, and now we're in a phase midway through. We've just had our mid-eclipse readings about a month ago. The North Node is in Leo, and the South Node is in Aquarius, and the Western and the North Node is in Cancer and in Capricorn and the Sidereal. And so what happens with these types of readings is that we really get a look into the planetary, your signs, collective consciousness and unconsciousness, specifically with lunar readings, and individual if you get a personal reading into the precise nature of how these energies are supporting you to feel and experience that divinity regardless of what's going on in our lives. When you know and live by your divinity, you feel it in your bones, you feel it in your heart and mind and body. You feel you are dearly loved. You feel that you are a child of the Great Mother, Father God, the mother of all mothers, the father of all fathers. You know that. You live, breathe, and have your being through this inner awareness. And this inner awareness, I summarize in a way for us to connect this feeling with one another and through one another in these readings. And they are free principles. The first principle is that we are dearly loved children of the Great Mother, Father God. Just saying it, just asserting that. Because that is the whole deal, right? That is the divinity, is in knowing and owning that. The deck has gods and goddesses on each card, and it's all about us owning our divinity as gods and goddesses by recognizing and seeing that those energies also emanate through and as us as well. The second principle is that we are never, ever condemned or left alone. We live in a world of relentless retribution. Even our entertainment is about judging. Hey, I love Judge Judy. And I think I love it, speaking for myself, just those type of court shows, really. The other entertainment things, not so much. But just personally, I mean, we all have our favorites because this is the collective consciousness, right? So for me, I like watching her because it's some kind of resolve that gets beyond the judgment and looks at really what is the equity of the situation, which is what these readings help us to see. They help us to see our soul experience and really what it's trying to do as us and through us. So we're never judged or condemned. We are just made more aware. And the third principle is that we're never left alone. Our angels, guides, and ancestors are always with us. We are so dearly loved that even in our illusionary experience in this earth realm, we are constantly being reminded of that if we would just tap into and own our divinity. So this feeling, this very nature of the moon sign, the very intuitive breath of inspiration of all life is what we are saying here with Great Mother speaking through her still small voice to us and through us, this feminine nature within ourselves to be able to receive and acknowledge this love is where we, in our physical form, tend to experience this divinity as shadows, darkness, challenges, and obstacles in life that keep us from actually having that root, instinctual, intuitive, primeval sense of this eternal love. So through these disappointments in life, as a result of abandonment or experiences of abuse that create pain and produce trauma so early in life and so routinely, we forget our divinity, and that these constraints that we experience, shadows, darkness, challenges, obstacles, etc., are really there as a means to remind us that we're never alone, that we're never judged or condemned, that we are divine. And so how is that, you say? How is this a means to remind me? Well, we are more than our physical selves. And so a challenge that is insurmountable to the ego mind. And here, when we talk about ego, we're talking about our biography, the story that we tell. If you were to write the book of your life, on the inside flap, the way you would describe yourself after your name is what we mean by ego here, because we are working from the presumption that either the ego is already healthy, or that you are here because you are striving to align your ego with your soul to become healthy. So there's a level of consciousness that's presumed in these videos being watched as well. So these obstacles, these shadows are constantly reminding us that we're more than our physical bodies, because when we surrender to the obstacle and the challenge or the shadow, especially if it's a new moon shadow, that is the opportune time to present our wishes and our prayers to the cosmos based on the energy that's available. We've just had our Pisces new moon, and so that energy was all about our psychic and mystical selves and trusting that and learning to surrender to that and wishes associated with that. And so each lunar cycle in the new moon phase, we can surrender ourselves so that we can see ourselves beyond the challenges. These challenges are also loving opportunities presented by Great Mother's shadows, because she speaks to us through signs and symbols. These shadows of the lunar phases, they help us to balance the mundaneness and intensity of the physical linear world that we experience in the ego body. Okay, so to every up, there's a down. To every in, there's an out, etc. And so there's yin-yang throughout the cosmos as we know it. And so there is this balancing effect that we experience in the physical world. But what Great Mother is reminding us of through these experiences of pain and trauma oftentimes is that we need to balance the mundaneness and the intensity of this physical linear world with our spiritual insight, with our internal imaginative wisdom that is always capable of facing that challenge and staring it down. That third eye of Horus, that's what that's about. That big old eye is like looking at this obstacle problem that we think is the world, and the end of it like, I've seen you before, I hear you come again, which usually is what trauma is all about. It's a pattern that the soul has had that is always being called up to be healed. And so that third eye of Horus is an opportunity always eternally available to us to, again, surrender to in order to balance that mundaneness of those patterns, the mundaneness of this day in, day out life that seems like it will never end, that is overwhelming us, that we have no control over. And we focus on the intensity of this need to control as opposed to simply being in charge of our divinity. And so another way that I like to share with individuals that this great mother energy supports us is by building our inner strength through these challenges. Now, I know that we hear this all the time, but what is really being said here is that the kind of inner strength that great mother is building, of course, is that soul strength that refreshes it, that soul evolutionary energy that it can experience within our physical life. We don't have to physically release the body and die in order for the soul to evolve. We can evolve and be reborn, as many of us know, be resurrected into a new self within our lives as we align with our soul, sometimes reluctantly. But here there's an opportunity to build that inner strength and resiliency on a soul level consciously. And so we can do it consciously or unconsciously, but when we know that the shadows through the phases from the new moon to the crescent, to the first quarter, to the full moon, third quarter, and the balsamic are all about energies within the constellations and the many mansions, the star mansions, the houses in the sky, to place us emotionally and intuitively in a space that we can feel the support, well, then these readings make a whole lot more sense. And so that's why knowing our birth chart, that eloquent picture of our soul and the ego experience it chose as us, is useful. Okay, so we can, actually locate ourselves. So because each of our stories and soul scenarios are so different that, Great Mother even channeled to me the universal heroine's tale of Dorothy of the Wizard of Oz for the Great Mother Speaks Oracle deck, just so we could have a connection point, a through line, that we could all kind of have as a touch point and a touchstone for these readings. And originally I had prayed to Great Mother asking for guidance about how to get immediate downloads from her for individuals healing from mama drama trauma, which is my area of life coaching specialization. I'm an inner work life coach who specializes in the term that I coined, mama drama trauma, the taboo Me Too subject. And so there is a lot of information about that if you're interested. But what I have found out is that these readings really help anyone, any walk of life who is sensitive. They tend to be empathic or intuitive individuals that, for the most part, feel blocked, constrained, or paralyzed by emotions that are really originating from unacknowledged shadows. We all have shadows, and that is, it's an unacknowledged shame. It's something that we'd rather not admit in ourselves, a quality, something. And so these are aspects in our chart. They're not secrets. They're right there staring at us in our birth chart. I mean, I know, like, for me, it was really shocking when I was learning to read charts. And, as you learn, you go back to your own stuff. And I was cycling back to my own chart. And I learned that I was coming off a certain way to people because that is what my soul needed and what it wanted to be able to focus on what it needed to do this lifetime. So while my ego was feeling alienated and alone, my soul was like, good, I need space. I need to be alone. I got a lot of stuff to do. I ain't got time to be bothered this lifetime. I kick it with y'all the next go round. But this go round, I am really enjoying this anonymity. So That's something that people, who always say, oh, you should be doing this and people should be knowing what you're doing, all this kind of stuff. I'm like, Great Mother gets to all of us the way that she needs to. I don't need to be on a buglehorn about anything. The way the energies work is that we're all attracted to what we need, aren't we? And so with my work and my experience, I have found that this deck really does work. So if you are a subscriber, you've probably heard me refer to this quite a lot, that these readings are really designed for intuitives, sensitives, and empaths. Anybody can listen. Everybody's invited. It's just that I started uploading them for my clients as a support, interim support between sessions, because I like to teach my clients how to read their own birth chart to become conscious and everything. So anyway, that's important because the readings are not about telling you how you are feeling, okay? I'm not telling you how you feel. The readings are about you being able to be aware of what the celestial and planetary energies are that are affecting your emotional body, okay? And that you have a way out. Especially if you are a highly sensitive person, it gives you a way out of those blocked, constraining, and emotionally paralyzing situations, so that you can again be in touch with your divinity in a way that you're not overwhelmed by the emotion. And so Great Mother really wanted to connect through my work with people who have problems with the emotional connection and trusting the intuition or being overwhelmed by emotions. They tend to have some type of mama drama trauma or daddy drama trauma because that allowed for that intuition to be hyper served and to be hyper developed for survival. And Great Mother really wants to come through to her children who have had that alienating and estranged experience from the birth home experience, so that they can feel her love and learn how to get in touch with her love. She's really wanting to connect with them through my work. So I want to share that with you about the deck and about what the readings are about, because if you can unlock how the shadows bind you, and you can keep those challenges and obstacles from doing that, then you can shine your light in the world, your unique light. It wasn't until I was able to get in touch with that within myself, that whole thing about how I connect with people and the ego feeling alone emotionally and stuff, but my soul on an intuitive level kept on telling me it's cool, it's cool, it's cool. We need to get down to work. You only have so much time here. When I came to peace with that, oh my God, do I feel my divinity or what? I mean, the downloads I get are just... So let me go ahead. Okay. So, excuse me. So remember, Glinda in The Wizard of Oz, the Good Witch, she symbolizes Great Mother in The Wizard of Oz, okay? And remember, she inspired Dorothy to go to Oz, okay, who symbolizes Great Father, that yellow brick road, gut chakra, that instinctual part of us. Eye of Horus, sixth chakra, is that intuitive part of us. And so we have that ego-soul connection there. We have the rainbow world of Oz, the chakras. And so that experiential existence, the gods and goddesses in the deck, the chakra in the deck, the chakras in the deck, the lunar cycles in the deck. She came through with all of that, and she had Dorothy go there so that she could see the light of her being once again. She came from the black and white world of the yin and the yang, the origin of the cosmos, the birth family, the soul group, the urge to evolve and to experience, have sensory experience through the chakras. And she incarnated as she descended from the twister dream, okay, in the house, that root chakra rooted itself in Munchkin land, okay, and quickly growing through that onto the gut chakra, okay, the root chakra through the second chakra. Her desire, which she asserted, was to go back home in Munchkin land. And in the yellow brick road, the gut chakra, excuse me, Oz, the greenery of Oz, the heart chakra. So what we have here is her growing through that ego experience, that earth experience, to see her light again, which is Great Father, that light that shines and reminds us, of that greatness, okay? And so likewise, as the galaxies and planetary bodies, including our physical body, comprises the physical outer form of Great Father, the inner world of Great Mother, that still small voice that emanates from the primordial black hole and holds existence in her womb, is where we come from and express ourselves just like the planets and the galaxies, Great Father energy. Okay, so we're born of them and comprised of this energy. It is within us. We are made of star stuff. And our birth chart is just a picture of that star stuff at our birth. But we have transit charts as well. And so you can have a chart of when your child was born or when you got married or when you started a business. It'll talk about the birth of different things in your life as well. And so we do transit charts every new and full moon. This is the second quarter one. And we're looking at ourselves as such, as children of the Great Mother, Father, God, as divine children of the Great Mother, Father, God. And so the most important thing in our birth chart, therefore, are our sun and moon signs, because they activate all other aspects. The sun, inescapable, fixed light, casts its light on the nature and personality of the soul, whose actions are inspired by the shadows of the moon, the soul essence. So Great Mother inspires the emotions and our intuition, inspire our actions, inspire those unique personality traits, what I like to call that cosmic calculus that makes us who we are and who we are learning more about through these readings and through our experiences with these readings, paying attention to what actually does, come about in your life, These loving trends that are constantly available to us are unlocked through these readings, that unconditional, compassionate, nurturing, kind nature that Great Mother has for us and Great Mother expresses, but it's hard again to see in the physical world, right? We talked about that. And so let's tap into the season of this quarter. It's a look at what the supportive energies are for you to plot and plan this quarter. And so the plotting and the planning is the plotting of your lot to plant, right? And that's the new moon energy. The realization of what you've planted, the fruition, the light coming to full illumination, is the full moon. And the full moon also at the back end of it is about releasing things from what you've planted that you decide, I really don't want that anymore, or I really thought I wanted it, but I don't want it now, or that really didn't come to full fruition, it really was kind of a stunted growth, so I'm going to pull it out, So that's the full moon reading. And so your birth chart is an elegant illustration of where your soul was at the time of its incarnation. So just like this seasonal reading is tapping in on this present time between April and June, your birth chart tapped into the exact snapshot of the unique positioning of the planets and constellations as they were at the time of your birth. This was most accurately calculated and clocked in the VEDIC, Jyotish, or Sidereal astrology, the cosmic astrology that looks at the soul. It is it signifies, this moon sign signifies the karmic nature of your soul. Okay. The Western or tropical that we use in the readings as well specifically locates the soul in its present focus on Earth. its earth experience, honing in on its emotional status and its unique body-mind that the soul occupies at this time, okay? And so this two-way communication nexus between the ego and the soul, as signified in the Western moon sign, where emotion is uploaded to the soul, sidereal, and intuition downloaded from the soul to the earth-centric Western sign, is really what we are talking about when we're going back and forth, or rather when I'm going back and forth in the readings. I'm talking about if you are, for example, Aries Taurus, then what you have is, for instance, if you have a Taurus moon sign, it's likely you have an Aries in the Vedic moon sign, okay? And this is already divinely aligned because the Taurus with the feminine Venus ruler and the Aries with the masculine Mars tells us the emotions of this fixed earth sign is providing the cardinal intuitive energy of the soul sign, an evolutionary opportunity to learn leadership in a physical environment enamored by sensory pleasure and stimulation. So, such deep pleasure through this awareness and knowledge of supportive celestial energies as they travel within, through, and around your lunar signs, houses, nodes, nakshatras, gives you a general reading for Taurus moon signs. In this example, to tell you what these energies are for your collective celestial unconscious based on the basic Aries sidereal moon sign. So I read the energies from the first house. So for instance, this Aries Taurus example, the reading would make Taurus the first house, Gemini the second, Cancer the third, etc. However, if your unique individual chart, you have your moon sign in your second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, or 12th house, book a personal reading for a precise assessment of your Western Vedic, solar, lunar, and ego soul energies supporting their alignment, and therefore your experience of divinity as a dearly loved child of the great Mother, Father, God, who is never judged or condemned or left alone. And with that, here is your 2018 second quarter moon sign, Great Mother Speaks reading. Hi, Aquarius, Pisces, moon people. I'm going to tell you what I am sensing and what I'm seeing for you this spring equinox season. I am sensing that you've gone through a multi-year period of getting very clear about your emotional space, your interior space. It's been very challenging to do that for many of you, but in spite of that, many of you have worked through it, have worked with it, and are really feeling the benefits of that. Some of you are still in the throes of that challenge. Most of you are aware of what I'm talking about, and you're ready for the spring. It's kind of like, come on, bring it on, bring it on. So this is what I'm sensing. I'm sensing that with this spring, Uranus moving from Aries in the tropical, we talk about the outer planets, and so Uranus has been in Aries for 7 years, which is your second house. And so you've been working with those values, what's important to you, and that's the sense that I've had of, you really getting in touch with your emotional space, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what energizes you. emotionally, and in what way, and how you want to be energized, what environments you want to be in. And so you've been in that process for 7 years, and as Uranus transitions into Taurus, your third house, you're opening yourself up to communicating what those values are, communicating what your unique expression in the world is based on this experience that you've had, either consciously or unconsciously. Great Mother is coming through for you, and she's saying that there is guidance available for you on a whole different level now as you have done your work. If you haven't done your work with these energies, this guidance that is available to you is a wake-up call for you to be aware of how you're being protected in this process, so that you allow yourself to take the emotional risk that you need. When we talk about emotion here, we're saying that the emotion is how the ego communicates to the soul. And so that continuum between fear and love, what makes me happy, what makes me sad, what makes me feel good, what makes me feel bad, what makes me feel comfortable, what makes me feel uncomfortable, all of those triggers and signals tell the soul where you are located, where the physical body is located in terms of its balance. Okay, it's emotional balance. The physical body, literally, how the physical body is balanced and operating in the world as it relates to its divinity. Is that physical body operating optimally? Okay, and intuition is what we download from the soul. So this back and forth communication is amping up. I'm sensing that it's amping up for you due to this Uranus transiting into Taurus, your third house, that has to do with values. It has to do with what you truly treasure in life, what really truly makes you feel good, what makes you truly feel that life is worth living, and communicating that to others. But you're also getting a lot of downloads about that even still. And these downloads are now being specified into how you communicate those values. And that is the challenging part for so many of you, and maybe even for most of you, because what I am sensing is that you are still working with a tendency to want other people to get it. Where you are and how you feel. And it's not about them getting it. It's about you getting it. There's still a tendency to kind of have a co-sign with this. And it's not about people co-signing. It's about you trusting that intuitive unction that you have better than any other moon sign as it relates to that. Now, Cancer, your sister water sign, has that direct line with Great Mother too, but you have that as it relates to all of the celestial bodies, and it's more of a universal kind of a download. And so I think that's what makes things kind of confusing for Pisces moon signs sometimes. So let's get some clarification here, because you also have the sidereal support as we work with your sidereal Aquarius as well. Now, Aquarius in the sidereal, by the way, is ruled by Saturn. It is not ruled by Uranus, which we're talking about in the Western. So, what I'm seeing is that as we open up with this March full moon, it is in Virgo Libra, your 8th house. And so isn't that rebirth? And isn't Virgo on a soul level all about the details and all about, daily life and your health and all that kind of stuff? And so, what you're feeling good about in the moment, the soul is really wanting to download to you, really what is working for you in the moment, what's working for your body, what's working for your immediate home relationships, your work-life balance, what is working for you to be balanced in your body. And you are intuiting that from a Libra perspective. And so you are wanting to have that internal balance. You are very receptive to it. And so that is the acknowledge card. You open right up with acknowledge. And the Great Mother's coming through, and she's saying that full moon in March in Virgo Libra in your 8th house is all about you acknowledging anything that does not support that alignment. You acknowledging any type of behavior, practice, or relationship, for that matter, since we're talking about, Libra, the air sign, the full moon in Libra, really bringing to culmination how we're partnering with people, the contracts that we're making, the agreements we're making. But for you, with this interior emotional space, revising it so that you really are integrating what is of value to you in meaningful ways. Let's look at the sun that's illuminating this. During this March full moon, you might be actually reflecting on new ways to do relationship. You might actually be downloading how you need to go forward in relationship to other people that share your values, and whether or not the people that you think share your values really do. You're going to be paying a little bit more attention to that. That's what this Virgo Libra full moon is bringing to a full illumination in your interior space. And so that is going to initiate a process of regrounding you. But as always, the balsamic moon precedes the new moon. And so when that happens in a full moon phase, that means that what has come to full illumination for you is the beginning of a reseeding process, the consciousness of the beginning of a new seeding process. And so that is the beginning of your spring seeding process, acknowledging that relationships need to be redone in a way that adheres to your emerging values, your emerging joys, what makes life feel worth living to you. So April's new moon on the 15th in Pisces Aries in your second house is talking about solace, wellness. This energy of the heart chakra full moon is the crossroads between the ego and the soul. It's energy that has brought to full illumination that you do have everything that you need. You may find yourself on the 15th of May feeling like you need to ask for someone to help you with something or to give you something that you don't have, or feeling that in order for you to be happy and fulfilled that you need the buy-in of someone else. This is very much the energy of Dorothy and the Three asking Oz for their wishes, not realizing that it was within them to fulfill. And so with a Pisces Aries moon in your second house, Great Mother is circling back to this dark moon, this new moon phase of you actually getting really, really clear about what you are downloading in terms of what really, really, really makes you happy. Not what made you happy a month ago or even 6 months ago, but what makes you happy now. And it's not about shifting your life around one desire or two desires. It's about you feeling yourself in your body, in your space. What general atmosphere makes you feel good? Do you prefer spring to fall? Do you prefer, morning to night? What types of energies are you working with in your daily life that are complementing those just general desires that you have to feel comfortable in your body? That kind of thing with wellness, or things that we definitely can fulfill for ourselves. This new moon in Pisces Aries in your second house is supported by the nakshatra of Ravati. Ravati is a nakshatra that is going to allow you to use the Piscean energy within you, not to feel that insecurity that can happen with the overwhelm of energies at times and throws us into an imbalance of addiction, but the type of energy that allows you to trust your mystic downloads and to assert those. It is a spiritually scientific type of energy. It is self-sacrificing, but it's sensitive enough to know when to pull back. And it's a giving energy, but it's giving from its fertility. It gives from its abundance. It gives from its fecundity. It's a very fortunate type of energy. It doesn't suffer from its giving. And so this is what's supporting you to know that you already are enough to confirm what your newly emerging desires are. It's enough for you to align with your soul, that heart chakra energy, and to know within your heart during that Pisces Aries moon, because Pisces in the Sidereal is that downloading from the higher, and Aries is wanting to act on that. And so this new moon is about planning and thinking about how you want to act on those downloads. What you may not be aware of at the time is that you need to establish those boundaries now as well. So you need to be making plans during this lunar cycle to let others know what's okay and what is not okay with you now, as you move into really getting clarity about what those new values are. Maybe, for example, in the past it was okay for, someone to come and visit after 6 p.m., because of their work schedule and they're a good friend of yours or whatever, just as an example. But now, as you are working with what feels good to you and what doesn't, you might want to have that time open for you to go to dinner, or for you to do this, or for you to do that. And, maybe for you it might be just too late. You might just want me time or whatever. Just as an example, that doesn't work for you anymore. That's a boundary that needs to be set. Great Mother is saying that this is something that you may not realize is important, that needs to happen at that time for you, because just imagine how much time it is taking for you to get clear about what your new values are. Other people, it's going to take them time too. So she's encouraging you to initiate that process. It doesn't have to be my way or the highway type of ultimatum type thing, but just beginning to let people know, like in that example, I know you've been coming over after work, at 6 for us to catch up or whatever like that. But how about if we just do that, on Wednesdays and Thursdays, because I really am opening up, the early part of my week and whatever, just beginning to communicate those things with people. And so you can get the real life practical response and your experiences from those responses as you move forward. Because again, Ravati is going to support you in knowing how to be a giver. And so people are going to sense that you are actually operating from a sense of generosity, abundance, fecundity, as opposed to pulling back. So aren't you glad, that you are watching this reading and you're getting these insights, because it allows you to focus on really what is supporting you to move forward. By the full moon in April, on the 29th, this full moon in Libra Scorpio is in your 9th house. And so this sagacious wisdom that you've been cultivating is coming through, and you are feeling it. You actually are emanating it from yourself. The sun, this full moon, is being reflected in Aries and Taurus. So this third house energy from the sun is giving you the power, this full moon, to communicate your wisdom. This is in the nakshatra of Chitra, which is very wise, strong-willed, and determined. And so you're moving forward, full moon in April, with the Ankh. The Ankh is all about the double yin, single yang energy. The double yin energy is the downloading, receptive energy from the soul, and the single yang is acting on that. In the third quarter moon, it's about releasing anything that doesn't allow you to do it. So yeah, we're strong-willed, we're moving forward. It's all about being able to actively communicate what you've been learning about your new desires, your new pleasures, your new values this full moon in April. This Chitra energy is called the universal architect, and in fact, you are redesigning your life. It has the ability, people born on this nakshatra, they just have a intuitive sense of what it takes to beautify the world in a way that everyone feels the bounty and the beauty of balance in their lives. And so it's a natural ability. This is the nakshatra that this moon will be in. So you will be buoyed to activate this law of ego form and manifestation, which has to do with following through with your soul purpose. And so the purpose of this journey is, again, not judgment or condemnation or struggle. That's not the purpose. The purpose is for us to have ever increasing experiences of divinity, ever evolving experiences of divinity. So yes, your values are changing. Yes, your joys are changing. Yes, your wants and everything, are changing. Your comfort zone is shifting in order for you to manifest what your soul wants to experience in this lifetime. And so you are redesigning your life. Chitra is supporting you. You're going to, at this time, get flashes of brilliance about how to do and redo relationships. You're going to get real clarity about really what is happening in your life at this time as a result of the shift. So you're going to be telling yourself the truth about things like, wow, ever since I changed my acceptance of coming over every night at 6 o'clock to, just once a week, I have really spent a lot more time with my kids, and I didn't even know, that they were so good in art, and they were invited to go on this trip, but never even told me, we're going to be going out of town next week because they won a contest. I hadn't signed a paper for, them participating in the next level, and we did it, and they're going, that type of thing will come through with this integrous inner exchange from this ninth third house energy on the full moon in Libra Scorpio. You will be getting this download about how to redo those personal and professional relationships in a truthful way, that in a regenerative way, and begin communicating those things to people. And you're going to be paying attention. What is integrity other than telling ourselves the truth? And so there is a eternal grace and mercy available to us when we do that. It's always available to us, but we truly experience it when we activate it. And that's what you're doing. Ravati and supported you during the new moon, and the full moon in April is coming through with this law of ego form and manifestation to design your life, to actually redraft your life based on what you are downloading. And the sun and the moon are supporting you in that process, as well as the celestial bodies that they're moving in, giving you the general energy to amp up the power that you need to thrive during this transformation. The dance that you're doing is one of challenge, and so you are facing the challenge during this full moon in Libra Scorpio. And it is a challenge communicating these new sagacious, wise things that you're learning about yourself and paying attention to. So this first quarter moon card, that is a throat chakra card, is all about that, communicating the action that you're taking based on a choice to face the challenge of this transformation. So Great Mother is coming through, and she's saying that that's okay. There are some things that people will not be able to hear you about, and there are some things that you perhaps are determined to follow through on that may not be readily supported, or people might not be jumping on the bandwagon. You know how people have to be shown first. You change and you're doing something that is good, it feels really good, I'm changing my diet, and so I'm hanging around people that tend to eat the way I'm eating now so that I can have some support. And it may seem to ruffle some feathers of people who are closer to you, or if it doesn't ruffle their feathers, it's kind of causing some conflicts at the dinner table, in the grocery store, or whatever like that. Eventually those things work out, don't they? If we stay determined, if we're really doing what we're doing. But it's challenging to do that. That's what this card is. And so that's the dance that you're doing in April. You are doing the dance of, staying true to what your new values are, staying true to what that new diet is, and staying true to, what that time is that now you've grown to pay attention to with your child, and you are actually following through on your soul purpose, which obviously includes your family, your child, but in ways that are making sense to you in your interior space these days. Speaking of these days, as we move into May, May is when Uranus moves into Taurus, your third house. And so we've been talking about communication. So you've been getting some practice with communicating those challenges. We're never left alone. And so the energies have been supporting you in doing that communication. So as Uranus moves into Taurus, that unique soul expression, that planet of Uranus moving into Taurus, the constellation of values and pleasure, and what's important to us, money and things of that nature, what makes life worth living, the law of ego form and manifestation, that is in Aries Taurus. And so this is your, second house energy. It's kind of on the cusp in the western Taurus Gemini. So it can be kind of second, third house energy, which is exactly what you're working with, that communicating your values. This is Akhenaten for you, the law of mystery and divine order. Akhenaten had a tremendous challenge in communicating his values. So much so, he had to leave his palace in Thebes and build a whole nother one in Amarna. He instituted the worship of the one God. The first ruler on the planet, the Pharaoh Akhenaten, instituted the worship of the one God. And it was not accepted by the priests and the scribes. They had their thing going, and that's just the way it was going to be. And so again, it takes a while for people to catch on. And after millennia, I think we're finally kind of catching on to the idea of monotheism. But the yang symbol, again, that single yang, that sole purpose, the incarnation into physical form, is inspired by Great Mother energy. And so that's the yin-yang balance that we talk about. It's the inspiration for the incarnation through the ego form. So in May, that new moon in Aries Taurus on the cusp of Gemini, 2-3 energy is totally supporting your soul purpose. Totally supporting that second house energy of Aries, that soul purpose. That is yang. That is the symbol for yang, Aries, the first sign of the zodiac. So it's very clear purpose, leadership. It's associated with clear, distinct thought. And purpose. And it's a root chakra card. So the root chakra is ruled by Saturn, and so that has to do with Aquarius and Capricorn. But still, what we're saying here for you for May is that the law of mystery and divine order is operating for you in order for you to communicate your new values on a whole different level. The law of mystery and divine order is activated. This law, what Great Mother is saying, is that it's going to allow you to release anything that doesn't allow you to do that. Okay? You're going to be able to completely let it go. Your new moon wish, if you have some doubt about this, because the energy is already supported, you don't even have to make a wish. You just have to be conscious of it. Aren't you glad that you're watching this? That's all you have to do, is just be aware that the energies on the new moon in May on the 15th are supporting you to release anything that does not allow you to communicate your new values. That's all you need. But if you want to do a new moon wish, one might be, I want to easily and effortlessly release anything that impedes my ability to trust my new values, my new desires to fulfill me in my life. Okay, I want to release any desire or thought that no longer serves me. Those types of wishes for your new moon are just going to amplify the energy, because the nakshatra that you have working here is Bharani, and Bharani allows you to bear the negativity of people. It allows you to let things kind of roll off of your shoulder, let that water, just roll off like a duck. It doesn't really bother you. Bharani is very strong-willed, and it is associated with pregnancy. So this energy of pregnancy is an energy of focus on a goal. Again, focus on a purpose, focusing on your incarnation, which is to be happy, healthy, and whole, and experience your divinity consciously, if that is your free will choice. And this is the energy that is fully supporting you to do that new moon in May. This is really allowing you to experience the guidance and experience the protection that you know is already available to you. Intuitively, Aquarius, Pisces, Moon people, you know about the angelic connections. As you know, as I was saying before, you're connected to Great Mother, but you're also connected to angels, guides, and ancestors, which for you, without conscious work with your intuition, can be overwhelming. And so you already know it exists, but in the center of your reading, the Jesus card is saying that during this new moon on the 15th in May, you're really going to feel it. You're really going to connect with it and be receptive to the guidance, be receptive to the protection as you walk through this process. Another third quarter law card is talking about releasing anything that impedes your ability to trust your protection and your guidance. This is such a wonderful, wonderful reading for you, because this center connection with this new moon in May, having to do with this energy in your second and third house, communicating your new values, is telling us that you are getting direct downloads about how to do that. And so it's just a matter of you telling yourself the truth and accepting the eternal grace and mercy that's available to you, Pisces Moon people. Isn't that wonderful? That is absolutely wonderful. This is absolutely wonderful. I'm so happy for you. You've been doing so much work with these things. As I've said, most of you have been doing a lot of work. You have that connection. And so what Great Mother is saying, by the full moon in May, as we culminate in May for you doing this work, communicating your new values, this new moon in May is in your 10th house in Scorpio Sagittarius. And so this has to do with wish fulfillment and self-inquiry. What needs to be released is any judgment, condemnation, any retribution that you feel, even if it's just by a TV commercial or a magazine ad that you look at. I don't care what it is, how small it is. Do the self-inquiry work. Byron Katie, Byron Katie, Katie. Is it true that I need to buy this expensive makeup? You know, is it true that I need to whatever, you know? And ask yourself that, you know, do I really need to do that? Is this making me feel good? Or is it making me feel bad, not enough? Is it enhancing my life, enhancing my pleasure, enhancing my experience? Well, yeah, I agree. But if it's not, tell yourself the truth. This is balsamic moon energy, and so you're going to download it. You are already getting guidance, and so Great Mother is saying that by the full moon, this Scorpio, you know, and the Sidereal is going to really be breaking it down to you. It's going to be very clear, and it's going to emphasize the rebirth feeling and the newness of what these values are to you. And so when you download it with this sage wisdom that you've been garnering in the Sagittarius full moon in May, it's going to really feel like a criticism for some of you, you know, because you haven't quite made the transition yet. And so it'll feel like you're not doing something right, or you haven't lived up to your values, and you're not there quite yet, or something like that. But really what's happening is you are in transformation, and so you are filtering things out. You're filtering things out. And so, like I said, that makeup ad in the magazine, it might be something where it's like, yeah, you know, I'm going to get me some, I didn't used to do that, but I'm going to do it now. That I didn't know they had that makeup out, you know. And so ask yourself, is it true Is this ad making me feel like I'm, 15 years too old and I need to get tightened up? Or is it making me feel like, wow, this is going to really help me, and I think I want to do this now. I haven't been wearing makeup, but I think I want to do this. Talking about myself. So, but for you, know what that is for you. Know what that self-inquiry is for you, because we do get little attacks all day and little criticisms from places. And Great Mother, she wants you to consciously work with that dance, consciously be aware of what that dance is for you during that time, because you're doing some very important work. This full moon in May on the 29th in Scorpio Sagittarius is illuminated from the light of the sun in your fourth house, okay, from your fourth house in Taurus, Gemini. So again, communicating these values coming through from what your wishes are. And 10th house wish fulfillment is your highest wish based on fourth house energy from your home, from your foundation. How does your home support you? How are you nurtured in order to pursue your career, your goals, or achievements that you have in your life? All the rewards and things that we get in our lives are made much easier by the support that we have at home. Now, if you are a mother or if you're nurturing someone else, you might want to pay particular attention to how you are talking to others in your home and how you are communicating your new values at home. Because again, that is important for you to fulfill all of your wishes and all of your needs, to have their support, to bring them along with you. This full moon is going to bring up some shadows for you, some things that you haven't looked at for a while because they're inconvenient truths. And so what Great Mother is saying is that the advice for you is to love them. Take them in. Take them in. Just like Oz, when the three and Dorothy said, hey, you're just a man. And Dorothy said, you're a very bad man. And he said, I'm not a bad man. I'm just a very bad wizard. Know yourself. Know yourself. Know yourself. Know what your strong points are and what your weak points are, and welcome them. Welcome discussion about it. Welcome awareness about it. Okay, I'm weak in this area. I really need to work on it. I wish I was better in this area, but this is where I am right now in my soul evolution. And so what areas in my soul evolution can assist that? Or do I just need to look at that for a minute right now? I need to just sit with that for a minute. Many things that we call pain or that we experience as trauma are just patterns that keep coming back to us for us to acknowledge. We don't even necessarily have to quote unquote heal it. The acknowledgement is a healing in and of itself many, many, many times. It's when that cycle keeps going around and around and around and around from us not acknowledging things that we have to do work to cleanse the energy. Everything is energy. And what is energy? Moving information, just as we are. Star stuff, made up of star stuff. All the information in the cosmos is us and in us, within us, as us. So embrace it. There's light and dark. We are from Great Mother Father God, which is why all these cards are gods and goddesses, just like us. We're gods and goddesses. We are variant energies of the Great Mother Father God. And so this is an energy that we embrace because we know that we're divine children of Great Mother Father God, with lights and shadows just like Great Mother. Great Mother has a whole season of shadow called the new moon. And so embrace it, love it, because this is the Inanna card of the crescent moon in the third eye. It's going to allow you to plant now the seed for your spring equinox with your inner eye, your inner knowing, not your outer eye, but your inner knowing. And so all this work that you've been doing with your inner knowing, Great Mother wants you to cultivate that even deeper into what your weaknesses and your strengths are and plant your seed from there. Sometimes when we overlook our shadow, we plant a seed from a weakness as opposed to a strength, and it does not grow to fruition. Okay, so we can plant a seed from a fear of somebody leaving us and get married in the spring and plant that seed. And since that was the seed, instead of I love this person, I hope we stay together forever, Either way, it can end in divorce, as we all know, but more than likely, it will more rapidly and in more painful ways, okay? We're talking about emotions, pain, trauma, that sort of thing. The marriage will dissolve in a much more painful way if it's established on a weakness, okay? So the shadow was the fear of the person leaving as opposed to the love. And so by acknowledging the shadow that, wow, I really want to get married just because I'm scared of this person leaving, that's not a good seed. So let me take a breath. That's where I am right now, my soul evolution. Where do I need to get to in my thoughts and my attitudes in my inner space for me to operate from a place of, I want to be with this person because I love them? What is that journey for? Or what will that journey be like for me? That's the journey that I need to commit on that level, which is what this cycle is about for you, is, how you're doing relationship to yourself first and foremost with what is important to you, then expressing that to and with others. Because that full moon in May is really going to bring things all together for you. As you've worked with all these energies, everything's going to come together for you. And isn't that how it is? We're working, we're toiling, doing our spiritual work, and it becomes less so as we gain the levity of Great Mother energy, which is moving through these constellations every 2.5 days. We too will move with it as we become aware of the benefit of doing so. But things just suddenly they come together. We don't know how. There's so many transits, so many planets, so many asteroids, so many constellations. We don't know. We just know these little rudimentary 12. We just kind of ABC soup over here, and that's fine. And it's enough for us right now, right? Because this is the point of our soul evolutionary development right now. But we know there's more, and don't you know it, Aquarius, Pisces, Moon people, with this full moon third eye card. I mean, just shining through that April full moon, that wisdom that you've cultivated, it's coming together. Just like when Dorothy thought that there was no way she could get home after the balloon descended from the sky that Oz was trying to use to get her back to Kansas. And Great Mother in the form of Linda the Good Witch appeared. And there she was. And there she is for you, as she is for all of us all the time. And as we do our work, she appears as those cycles come and go. She appears in different forms and in different ways, but she's always there, isn't she? New moon to full moon. And that full moon in May, you're going to really, really feel that wisdom. You're going to really, really be in that Scorpio Sagittarius space as it relates to your wish fulfillment, perhaps even your career projects that you're working on, getting more and more specific with those at-home relationships that the sun is shining a light on in Taurus Gemini with your values at home. You're bringing it home, okay? And you're starting to communicate outside of yourself to your first line of relationship. And so the Great Mother's coming through, letting you know it's coming together. Synthesis. It's all coming together. And what you need to embody for it to come together for you in ways that you do feel your divinity is the wild woman, Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga is coming through to let you know that it is okay for you to fully express your wildness. It might even be just a situation where these new values seem wild to you, and it seemed like, wow, I used to go to the store and bag my groceries and this, that, and the other. But now I'm having these people deliver my groceries and people are looking at me like, what are you doing, or this or whatever, or I'm learning how to do it. Nobody's necessarily looking at me, but this is just weird, but I'm kind of getting into this. I like having my groceries delivered. It could be something as simple as that. Okay, it doesn't have to be. Working with your angels, guides, and ancestors will teach you very quickly that even the smallest thing is a huge energetic shift. Just like in the Bible, it said that the faith of a mustard seed will move mountains. It's true. They are very enamored by small things because they know how energy works. They know how energy moves, and they know how things come together. And we just kind of overlook it because we are in this physical form that we have to see everything, be so big in our perception and stuff like that. But no, It can be something small like that. And Baba Yaga for you could be this new moon energy of not really seeing clearly how things are coming together yet. And there still might be some fears, as when the three entered the dark forest and they saw the sign that the witch's castle was just there, but I turned back. There might be still some of that, some remnants of some fear for you that full moon in May. But continue working with those energies. And the nakshatra is Anudra in May. This supportive energy for you at this time is all about gaining stability through chaos. It is all about that. It is all about an ability to communicate your desires in a way that people can hear you. So that might be wild for you as well. That might be wow. I never thought that I could find stability through chaos. But what is creation other than destruction of a prior way of being? These things happen simultaneously. This is what I mean about energy. This is how energy works, the yin and the yang of everything. And so Anudra also sees the truth beyond the surface. Okay, so even though on the surface it might seem kind of fearful to communicate your new values, or on the surface it might seem kind of weird to start getting your groceries delivered, but you really love it because you're eating healthier and this and whatever, it might seem strange, it might seem fearful, is what this is saying with that May full moon, Aquarius, Pisces moon people. But it is something that you can surmount, you can overcome, and very effectively, new moon, 5th chakra card, communicate your new way of being. So we're moving into this communication, this really sharing who you are and sharing what you're about with people, not for the sake of sharing, but because this is what you need to do. Wild woman energy has to be expressed. When it's not, it comes out in the most inappropriate ways. It's an anxious energy. It's a very creative energy. It's that energy of springtime, that mating season. Okay, and that's why people neuter animals, because that's wild woman energy and wild man energy that creates beyond what we are able to care for. And so when we're talking energetically in our interior space, we manage wild woman energy by finding ways to express it and to focus on ways in which we can be supported in doing so. And Anudra is supporting you to find that stability through those emotional feelings of chaos. Focus on that. That focus is going to allow you to get very clear about how those values can be applied to your career, how they can be applied to new wishes that you're formulating, new projects that you're formulating, new relationships as a result of these new values. Now, as this culminates into June, the last month of the second quarter, on the 13th, the new moon in June, that download period, you have a full moon card. Demeter, accepting your feelings. The beginning of June, after all of this energy, after all of this Baba Yaga and accepting this energy, this anxious energy, and working with this energy, you're going to be in a place where you may be questioning, or again, revising, not quite sure where you are with how you feel, but you still want to share it. You still want to share it. Many times we work through our insecurities and our uncertainties, rather, in a process of communication. And so this is gut chakra energy here. And so this new moon in Taurus, Gemini is that communication energy in your 4th house. And so maybe the challenges in your 4th house are bringing up a need to accept how you're feeling. Maybe there's some frustrations as a result of communicating your new desires. But that wild woman energy coming out and you working with that in the nakshatra of Rohini is going to focus yourself on your creative passions. And so there's some creativity that you want to express now with these new values. There's some changes that you've made that perhaps other people feel like you've charged through the situation like a bull or something, and they feel kind of put aside or not as important because you have prioritized yourself, and maybe that was part of your apprehension in the first place, and that kind of thing. But Rohini has a magnetism, and this magnetic energy does cultivate business success. Okay, so even though we're talking about the fourth house at home, this is business. You know how we talk about, this is family and this is business. Well, when we say this is business, this is something that needs to be done for the good of all. This is a transaction that needs to happen in order for us to honor the agreements that we've made, and in order for me to feel good about what I've given, and for me to give you what you have expected. And so it's a very transactional way in which this Rohini energy can be translated into your home environment, this magnetism, because you're on a roll. Things are coming together for you. And although people at home may not be on board quite yet with this, Taurus, Gemini moon in your fourth house, that doesn't change the fact that you're on a roll. Great Mother is just saying, accept how you feel about it. Again, that integrity. And so you might feel a little frustrated about that. And by accepting how you feel about it, you're going to be tapping even deeper into your inner wisdom. Your inner wisdom is what has guided you throughout this process and will continue to guide you. So this new moon card on June 13th, the new moon in your heart chakra, is confirming that ego soul alignment, and that you do have the insight and the wisdom that you need, despite what may still appear to be uncertainty about how all of this is going to shake out. That is for June the 13th, the middle of June. Sophia, trusting that inner wisdom. And Sophia, really does rule the home hearth, that ancient fire at home that the women kept as the men went out to hunt. And so you do know, what's best for your home. It's just a matter of just kind of sticking by your guns, and your guns being your power, and owning that power, which comes from a very clear sense of who you are and what you are, what you need, and what you've come from, what you've learned, what you've given up, and what you've accepted to be the truth as well. So in the center of your reading is the Jesus card, guidance. You have the guidance that you truly, truly, truly need. Final outcome for your reading: the June full moon is in Sagittarius Capricorn, your 11th house. So this Mayat, the Egyptian goddess of balance, comes to let you know that there is justice. All of this is coming together, and it will. By the end of June, if not completely resolved, you will feel that things are coming to a resolve with this first quarter moon card in the third eye. You'll feel that the actions that you've taken based on a decision to face these challenges has been worth it. That not only are you benefiting, but other people are benefiting as well. It didn't turn out the way you had expected, but things are turning out the way you have needed them to. And it's all been because you've been trusting this sagacious wisdom. This full moon is in Sagittarius Capricorn, so that sagacious wisdom downloading from the Sidereal, and you interpreting it, the Capricorn, in practical ways that you can apply it into your life. So you will be able to clearly share these insights with people in your immediate group, your social networks. Even your public image is changing because the sun is shining from your 5th house. Okay, how people see you, how you are expressing yourself, that creativity, that passionate creativity that you're wanting to share with your family. Now you're able to share it with groups of people. And even again, if still things haven't completely come to resolve, you're seeing how they will, because the sun in Gemini Cancer is telling us that there's a light being shown on your soulful communication in the home, and you feeling nurtured at home. And you feeling that the way that you're communicating yourself as a nurturer is improving as a result of the changes that you've made. This is your spring equinox reading, Aquarius, Pisces, Moon people. Thank you so much for watching, sharing, and liking. But above all and most of all, remember, Great Mother loves you, and I do too.
Great Mother speaks. I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic Womb.